Hi there, gang. It's Jason from the Cracktastic Plastic Podcast, and we're here today with not only one of my oldest friends, but one of my longest running toy friends. When we were younger, he could always be found talking comic books with Insane Mike while helping us make movies. He was the first and maybe only guy I knew that was into Superman. He has always been a smart guy with an affinity for the nerdy side of life, and he's been collecting Transformers for as long as I can remember. So, I think he's cool. Lately, you'll find him 3D printing parts for yet another Ghostbusters Proton Pack. Please welcome Chris Turnip Simmons.
Hey, Jason, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's good. How are you, buddy?
Good, good. Just trying to find space in amongst the wall of figures in my office to actually record in. So,
It's always a challenge, isn't it?
yeah, you mentioned 3D printing. If I flip the camera around, the other half of the room is just boxes of filament and parts and everything else. So this is literally the only space I
This is
have.
it. This is the only window
This
you
is it.
get. Well, first off, I guess let's tell everyone about yourself. Where you're from. How old are you? Who is Turnip?
Oh, well, child of the 80s, so, at least I'm in my 40s. Just turned 42, living in West Des Moines. Bumped around the East Coast for a little bit in my youth, but originally from Iowa. Growing up in the 80s, obviously, He-Man, G.I. Joe, and Transformers were a huge part of growing up. Those latchkey kids, we gotta find something to entertain ourselves while parents are at work. So,
Mm-hmm.
and as you can see by the wall behind me here, Transformers is definitely the one that stuck over the years.
For sure. Yeah, man. As long as I can remember, you were like the only other guy besides Spooty that I knew that even knew what Transformers were.
If I recall correctly, I think I gave you your first few that seeded your jumping back in. So,
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember? I think I've been meaning to pin it down. I know that it was Alternators time, kind of animated.
mhm.
Was that 2007? Does that sound
No,
ish?
you'd have to go back earlier than that. Alternators have been
2001,
2002,
two.
2001, 2002. Yeah,
Yeah.
because animated would have been 2007.
Yep. So yeah, it's been a while, a couple
Yeah.
years.
Well, I remember, obviously everyone when they're growing up, they're into toys when they're younger. Then, girls come along, video games come along, and you put it away. I remember going to Oskaloosa Walmart with a couple of high school friends of mine, maybe senior year, and saw Beast Wars, Metals, or uh,
Transmetal.
yeah, Transmetal. There we go. Transmetal One, Optimus Primal, and Megatron. So the skateboard monkey and the
Yeah.
the roller skate dinosaur, and it hit something in me. I had to have them. They looked at me, why do you need those? I'm like, why wouldn't I need these?
Right.
And those were the two that really kind of reignited it for me and got me going from there. And
Well,
thousands of dollars later.
yeah. Well, let's go even farther back than that. Let's go
Absolutely.
way back to the beginning. What are some of your earliest memories of toys? Is it Christmas, birthdays? How far back does your memory go?
So I would have been about 3 or 4 years old. One of my earliest memories is going to the Ben Franklin, if you remember
Mm,
those
I sure
stores
do.
in Pella, and they had a Transformers display. So if I was four, this would have been 4 or 5. So you're talking 86 or so, 85, 86. So, Transformers had been on the air, movie hadn't been out yet. Had a big wall, Optimus Prime, Megatron, Starscream. I begged my mom to get me the Megatron. She refused to buy me a toy gun, so I got Starscream instead. But so far as I know, G1 Starscream was my first Transformer. So, and I
Wow.
remember having the He-Man role play toys, the Power Sword and the Shield running around. And
Yeah.
uh, one memory that definitely sticks out was the Christmas of 85, 86. I can't remember exactly. Went to my grandparents' house and I got G1 Optimus Prime for Christmas
Oh
and
my.
so excited. But we're driving home and we live out in the country at the time and the rural road, dirt, and it had been snowing all day. and 4-wheel drive Blazer. We get stuck about a mile from the
Oh,
house.
God.
My parents are gonna have to carry me, and I refuse to get out of the car if we don't bring Optimus Prime along. So my poor parents in knee deep snow
Uh-huh.
carrying me and Optimus Prime because I refuse to leave otherwise.
And
So
don't blame you. Don't blame you.
that's a fantastic toy.
Heck yeah. Well, that's pretty early. That's the early days.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Well, let me ask you the big question, the the heavy one. Why do you think you collect toys? Like, where do you think it goes that far back? What do you?
Well, I know Transformers, especially. I can pinpoint to my parents, like a lot of ours, definitely weren't rich. Definitely blue
Yeah,
collar factory workers. Not we didn't go hungry, but it's not like we had a ton of money for toys. So just when you get a little older and that you get your own disposable income, you think I can buy these toys. Then maybe they're not the same toys, but gosh darn it, you can buy them with your own money, and that just I think that kind of awakes that little kid in you that couldn't get the toys
yeah.
enough that you just kind of go along for the ride and
Kind of
kind
similar
of
to like
grab.
when you're first an adult and you're like, I'm having breakfast for dinner. I'm gonna eat cookies for dinner because I
Yeah,
can.
yep. No one's going to stop you from eating a whole cake. That's
Yes.
kind of that's let's see. I got the uh, G1 or Brave Max back there because no one could stop me from eating that cake. I got
Heck yeah.
that toy. So
Did you ever have that break? Like most, I'd say the majority of us toy collectors, at least through high school, girls come along and then maybe college, we all kind of dip out for a while and then come back. Did you ever have that break or has it just been constant?
for not for a few years in high school, I had the break because I remember going through middle school. Me and a buddy of mine got to the point where we started to realize we were the only ones still buying action figures, still buying the Toy Biz Marvel figures at the time, because the X-Men animated series, Spider-Man animated series, all those were on TV, so we're buying those. Started realizing that we were about the only one buying toys, and it wasn't anything where we're like, had the conversation and came to consensus. We're like, well, maybe we'll focus on video games for a while, and
Sure.
which it worked out because that's when the internet was really hitting and you could play online games and whatnot. So, but then, like I said, just that senior year of high school, the bug, the itch started and kind of picked up from there. So,
And so to expand on this itch, what what does get you excited about toys? What is it about toys that gets you
well,
excited?
and you and I have had kind of conversations about this, just kind of my changing view of collecting the last few years.
Yep.
Just because as I've got older, my taste changed. I've started to examine what I collect, why I collect, and even over the years when I was still heavy into Transformers, I've started to. It's like, well, the other robot toy that's not Transformers, it's neat looking, but do I really need to buy it? Or I'm
Yeah.
not into this toy line. Do I really need to get it? So I was already kind of focusing down what I purchased to just the Transformers, and then I kind of hit a point where I had moved into a new house, and it's years after we moved in, and I realized I've still got 2/3 of my collection sitting in tubs that I haven't opened in years. So it's like, man, do I really need these? And then once I hit that point, I started analyzing. It's like, well, what do I actually like the toys, or am I just kind of addicted to the high of hunting for them? And then,
We all
it
have to
really hit
face
home.
that question, don't we?
They do, and it really hit home that there were some that's like, oh, this new wave's coming out. I got to get. I don't even remember the transformer it was, and it's like, oh, I hunted it down. I went to every Walmart. I looked online. I think I finally found it, paid a premium for it, got it, opened it up, looked at it, like, I don't give a crap about this toy.
Oh,
What is it? And then I had to realize, like, it wasn't the toy; it was the rush of the collecting. So that's kind of when I had to, as dumb as it sounds, my toy collecting rock bottom, where I had to start, realizing what I actually still collected or still enjoyed about collecting the toys and what I still wanted in them, and which is the point where I started offloading a whole lot of my collection and just
yeah.
really getting it down to what I wanted to get a hold of. So yeah, look around you because a
Yeah,
lot of it went to you. So,
it kinda
and
leads
then
me to the next question about, what bums you out about toys? Because you're one of the first ones to I've personally known that could actually admit out loud that, like, I don't know if I want to keep going. And it just seems weird, it doesn't
Right.
see that will always get asked, are you going to collect toys until you're 80? And in my head, it's like, hell yeah, I need all of them. But you're like the first guy to be like, I don't know. And like you just said, you're like, maybe I need
Well,
to rethink things.
well, let's just take Transformers for a second. I've been collecting Transformers for going on 25 years now,
And
and I've seen a lot of lines come and go. There's been I've bought a lot of Optimus Primes
yeah,
over and
every
over. And then
3
just like you
years.
just
Yeah.
said, how many Optimus Primes do I really need? Like, is that next one really much better than the last one? And do I really need to get it? And once you start breaking it down like that, you start seeing at least I did start seeing my collecting in a very different light. And it's like, man, I really need, because I still love these pieces of plastic behind me. These are
Sure.
still great. I love especially Transformers. I love the puzzle play aspect. But so that I didn't burn myself out of it, I really had to kind of focus on what exactly do I like in this and what do I want out of it. So
So maybe and it seemed like you've kind of went to more of a character-based love maybe than like you
yeah,
said, I wanna experience the new engineering because it keeps getting better every line that
it
comes out, we
does.
know that.
It really does.
So I know you're gonna probably always get at least one, but it
Mm.
also seems like you've kinda as a way to you just kind of, give me one of each character for now at least."
Yeah.
That kinda seems
Yeah, well, and just it comes down to display. As I've gotten older, the house has gotten bigger, but it gets filled with more stuff. Kid, dogs, things of that nature. So it's like I've only got so much space I really want to take up for display of it. So if I've only got so much space, you really have to focus on, well, what do I want in that space? And for me, I had to go back to Energon and the Unicron trilogy, the first Rid, all that was neat, but G1 was where it was at for me, and that's where
mm,
kind of my spark of enjoyment still lay. So I just need one of each G1 character and
yeah,
modern version. So that's kind of where that went.
sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, how do you think that collecting toys have changed from when you started till now? Now that you're a full fledged grown up person, and how's it changed now that you're a dad and you have kids?
Well, starting with the second first with the dad, she's 5 years old and she wants toys too. So it makes those trips down the toy aisle a little more dangerous
Yep.
because
Oh yeah.
if dad buys a toy, why can't kiddo have a toy? So I can't go on every Target trip now. I can't run down the toy aisle because she
Right.
might be with me. So then you get that FOMO in the back of your mind. It's like, of course, because I didn't check the thing I want's there.
Of course.
So that's something you have to fight. And then, sorry, I jumped in. What was the first question?
Just
No,
how it's
the
changed
first
from
part of
when you
that.
were younger to an adult.
Oh, well, I mean, there was a big change and you probably remember this in the collector community around 2007 when the first live action Transformers movie came out,
Yep.
where suddenly those flea market finds, those basement finds, those got a lot more expensive. The secondary market really jumped up, and again, that's something you and I have had a discussion about. That secondary market, I kind of disgusts
It
me a little
it
bit, just
it
how
does. It just
ridiculous it
keeps
gets.
going that yeah.
And these toys aren't that good. I mean, we can
Well,
love them, but
I
they're not
know.
that good. And the older toy is, I mean, plastic doesn't last forever. The chemical bonds break down, so
Yep.
it's a ticking time bomb for some of these toys. Because I remember when I first got in, you people, I worked at a factory at the time, and you go in and people find out you collect Transformers. Like, well, I think I got some from when I was a kid up in the attic. Like, bring them in. I'll give you $20 for
Heck
them.
yeah.
So, but even before I kind of stopped looking for G1, that really started going away. So, yeah, that the secondary market, and the other big thing I'd say is the acceptance of things nerdy. Like, you don't get it's no longer the dirty secret anymore to be into the nerd stuff like it used to be.
Right.
I look at oh, good.
Oh, the popularity of the 2007
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
changed the world
Well,
in
and I
toys.
talked to my 15-year-old nephew who, like, if you if I yeah, it's like going back and talking to myself from that age. He tells me what being in school is like. He looks exactly like I did at that age,
I'm so sorry.
but yeah, I know. A little know-it-all POS like I was at that age too. But anyway, he tells me about the kids at school and what they're into. Like, nerd stuff is mainstream.
Yeah.
Like that just wasn't the way when we were younger.
It's an amazing
And so
world.
that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. I mean, it also, of course, you have to bite back the "You bastards. You made fun of
I
me
know.
for this, and now you're going to the Marvel movie,
Right.
get
Right.
beat up in school for liking this stuff."
I
But
know.
you got to let that go.
For sure.
You got to
And
let
and
that
and
go.
you are happy because it is amazing that the
Right.
world has changed for the better
Well,
in
yeah,
our
and you
minds.
meant, we keep talking about the change of the 2007 movie. You and I disagree, but I think the Bay movies are garbage.
Hey.
So, but I will admit it brought a ton of money into the
Oh.
franchise, and the reason a lot of these cooler
Oh.
G1 stuff toys
It
exist is because of the money Bay brought into the franchise.
it would not be the same if that movie
Yeah,
didn't
and
happen. Yeah.
well, and do you remember back, say, the Unicron trilogy? Transformers, it did all right.
Yeah.
It puttered along, but it wasn't the media juggernaut it is today. So, whether I like the movies or not, I can't deny the impact they had.
Heck
So,
yeah.
I
All
do
right. Well,
remember.
yeah.
Oh, sorry,
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I remember I went to BotCon 2007, the year the movies came out in Rhode Island. Got to meet Peter Cullen, which was fantastic. Uh, you're a guy in your 30s, you just try not to cry
Yep.
because
That's our
your
TV
robot
dad.
dad is
Yeah.
standing, yeah, right there in front of you.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but we did get to go to a charity screening like 3 weeks before the movie opened nationwide. We got to go see a charity screening of it there at a theater. Tyrese Gibson showed up, so
Wow.
and I can't deny
You're
the hype
surrounded by
and
Transformer fans. It
the
had to be a
Transformers
great
fans.
screening.
It was just the power of the franchise, whether I like a particular element or not.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, and you took me to my first BotCon 2008 the next year.
yep.
That was a good time. I don't remember
I
much
can
about it.
never
It's all a blur to me. I hope you
just
remember some of it.
just really just that kid in the neck brace getting hit in the head with a beach ball
Oh,
and going ow.
yeah. I knew I
I still
wasn't supposed
laugh
to
about
remember
that.
that. Tell the
I
story.
still
It's awful.
So what was it? The
It was an
was
animate. Was it one
it
of
was
the panels from the?
well, I thought it was uh the awards they give,
Oh,
the Hall of Fame we
yep.
went to. They were announcing that in the big ballroom, and they were hitting around this beach ball. And I apologize. I'll probably go to hell for laughing about it. But there
Yep.
was this young man walking around, having a good time, but walking around with a cane, had like a full like back support brace, had a neck brace, went up to ask a question of something that was happening in the panel, and the beach ball comes, and it's this soft beach ball, plastic.
Sure.
It couldn't have hurt, but hit him, and just this dry deadpan, ow, and then continued with his question. We were
It
crying.
was
It was so
so
fun. Like, trying to hold it in because we didn't. I mean, we're terrible people for laughing about it, but we
right.
didn't want to know other people to know that we were terrible people for
Right.
laughing about
Oh
it.
man.
But my only other memory about that is we didn't stay at the we cheaped out because we didn't stay at the convention hotel. We stayed
Right.
across the river in Cincinnati, and there was a White Castle across the road
Oh,
that we found out the next morning that someone got shot at the night before while we were sleeping across the street. So that's the other memory that
that's the one and
sticks
only
out for
time I've ever had White Castle too.
me because it was the only thing we had there
I know.
because we had to get on the shuttle to get back to the hotel before the convention was done. So,
Man, I wished I got to go to more. In hindsight,
you
I
know,
miss all that so much.
I want to go to a TF Con,
Dude, it's the
but
same. It's awesome. Yeah.
but the problem was with Fun Pub
Yeah.
running BotCon, I don't know what it was. As it got bigger, they did not know how to handle the extra people. They
Yeah.
didn't create more lines or more opportunity. The lines just got longer and the wait just got more and the event just got more crowded because they didn't scale with 2007 with the popularity. So
Yeah.
I the last one I went to was it was no, actually, I think the last one I want to went to would have been it was a Pasadena one. I can't remember what year it was, but after we went and the lines just were ridiculous, and at that point, I couldn't justify going back, especially since they were still using a fax machine to register in the 2010s. So
Oh,
that was painful.
my biggest regret is the collectors club. I wished I'd have known. Wished I was. I wish we had it again. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but one of the nice things is with Hasbro Pulse and the exclusives they do through there. Not to sound like a commercial for them because I'm not,
Sure.
but I mean, if they want to kick me something back, maybe.
Yeah,
But we basically get
you're
BotCon
right.
sets all the time, but we get them at retail price now, so that's kind of nice.
So maybe it is
Because,
better. All right.
well, and I mean, luckily I did all right because when I went back to college in my late 20s, I was able to sell all of my BotCon stuff, and I paid for like a semester and a half of community
I
college
believe it.
with it,
I
so
believe it.
that worked out all right.
All right. I want to dig into collecting or hunting for toys, and like, do you
Mhm.
do you have rules in your head when you're collecting, when you're hunting for
Well,
toys?
what kind of like an example of rules are you thinking of?
Oh gosh, does it need to be complete? Uh, does I don't
Well,
know what goes through your head when you're hunting for toys. Do you have traditions?
well,
Do you have routines?
okay.
What's going
Well, so I
through?
don't usually I don't usually buy secondhand. So most of the stuff I'm getting anymore is retail. So I don't generally have to worry about completeness. Um, yeah, and I go through cycles of like I haven't gotten anything and found anything in weeks. I'm wasting all this gas. I'm just gonna order everything online, and then you hit to where suddenly all the sightings are like that's just down the street. Screw online. I'm going to run down there right
Yeah.
now and go buy it. So you cancel the pre-orders online. So I go
Mhm.
through those cycles. I try to keep in mind of try to suss out when the truck days are for the Walmarts and the Targets and whatnot to try to hit that a little early. But again, at this point, I always since I'm doing retail, you always got to check the end caps. It may not be right there where you think it should be. Maybe they put it on end cap, front or back. Maybe it's up above on the shelf. You gotta look around there. Maybe another collector's there that couldn't buy it right then, so you got to look behind where they might have tucked it to try to come
Yeah.
back and get it later. So just the basic stuff. Uh, and I mean, so, and I say I don't usually buy secondhand. If I'm in a town with a toy store or something, I'll have to go check that out and hit it up just to see because 99 times out of 100, I'm not going to walk away with anything, but that one time will be the thing I have to have. So again, you got to check.
Well, and then how about for displaying? I know we can't walk around and show things, but what kind of rules or traditions or routine do you have any routines when you're setting up your display or putting your toys up or
Well, like so, the display I've got here currently, just a couple of IKEA shelves in an L shape. One of the problems is all these darn Titans are huge, so they don't go on second shelves, so they got to go on top shelves, and so that kind of determines everything else has to fall after the Titans. So, like if I got the Titans, well, there's the Arc. Well, then Optimus Prime has to be by the Arc, and then there
yeah.
has to be
Uh,
Alpha Trion, and
so
well,
Autobots
then we get into
together, Decepticons together.
yep.
Hmm.
And I mean, I wouldn't mind doing battle scenes, but these shelves are only 12 inches deep. You can't really do
Right.
battle scenes or anything like that. So, well, then if Optimus Prime's going up there, that has to be 84, 85. So then you get into 86 and beyond there,
Yeah.
and then start getting into Japanese G1 because for some reason I've ended up with a ton of those. And so,
I
and then you
love
get into
that.
Beast Wars and,
Yeah, group them together by lines, by years.
yeah, yeah. And then
Right.
I've been buying, Target has these risers, they're kitchen risers.
Oh
They're
yeah.
meant for spices, but they work really great for stacking the figures so you can actually see them,
Is
what you
it
have there.
2
Because
tiers or 3? I can't.
one, two, there are 3 tiers.
Awesome. Yeah, I've looked at
So, and
some
you can,
some like that, and
yeah, they're only like $12, so it's kind of
yeah,
hard to beat. I need to go get some more of them.
yeah. Well, you got all them toys behind you. You've seen all the toys. What is there a toy that you wished existed that doesn't? Do you have any left?
Well, see, that's the problem. Hasbro's been releasing every like obscure character the last few years. I mean, I could have, part of me wishes I would have jumped on the HasLab Unicron because
Oh
that would have been
man,
neat. But
that's a
the
regret.
$500, man,
Yeah,
it was. I could afford it at the time, but it didn't feel right to drop the money on there. But then I did, of course, have to jump on the Victory Saber
heck
because
yeah.
sub 200, that's a little easier to justify. As far as what I wish existed that doesn't, yeah, not that I can think of, because again, this is kind of a golden age to be a toy collector between
Really is.
between every obscure character, prop replicas getting released. I mean, I got big into, you got the Proton Pack here. This is actually my second one. My kind of janky scratch built one's down below it. But I got into building that because there wasn't a full size option. Well, a year after I started building that,
Of course.
Hasbro does the crowd fund for the full size one. I'm
Yep.
like,
Gosh
man, I
dang it.
guess happy I learned a skill and
Yep, yep.
whatnot. But damn it.
Or any other
Uh,
toy line besides Transformers.
well, I have gone back. I do. Obviously big into Ghostbusters. That was Transformers and Ghostbusters were the two big ones from the
Awesome.
'80s that really stuck with me. And unlike Transformers, Ghostbusters, I mean, it's kind of been around, but it hasn't had that big of
Not really.
merchandising support.
Not really.
Uh,
Do you
and
have many of the
so
figures? Do you collect any of those?
as what I do, and I don't
Oh,
usually
no.
go back for stuff I wish I had a kid but didn't. I'll move on. I'll get the update. But when they've released the retro line Ecto One, like I had to jump on that, and I had to get all four of the Ghostbusters. I couldn't pass that up, so I
Here's your
had to
chance.
because
Yeah.
because I think it was that and the Ecto One and Power Master Optimus Prime were the two toys as a kid that's like, oh, I wish I had those as a kid. And since I got a Power Master Optimus Prime, had it for a few years, got my enjoyment out of it, passed it on. Ecto One reissue came along. It's like, I've got to have it. I can't say no to that. So,
Sure.
but and then even off the wall things like I've got. So He Man, big into it as a kid, hated the '80s movie,
Yeah.
hated it with a passion. They have a freaking figure of the thing. I had to buy the figure. I hate the movie, but I had to have this figure.
You love your
I
Dolph.
don't understand it. This figure's awesome. The movie's terrible, but the figure's
That figure
awesome.
looks
So
great.
again, it's like we live in a golden age for toy collectors. So it's just like it's hard. We've got an embarrassment of riches. It's hard to even think what we need. We've got GI Joe Transformers now. I don't have any, but they're out there.
Oh, they're cool,
That's
man.
another thing that's like
Uh-huh.
we wanted as a kids and that finally exists. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
I just don't
know.
know what I could even want. So what about you? What do you wish
Oh,
it had really existed?
I can't think of any um Transformers character off the top of my head. For me, my first thought went to like Hasbro owns Mask. Gosh dang it, I had those toys.
Yeah.
I wish they could come back out. Cuz they were Transformers, sorta, it was such a great toy for imagination for kids. I
Mhm.
love the Mask. I also yeah, we just got word that Mattel and Hasbro are doing some joint
Yeah.
stuff. So it's not gonna they're talking everything but He-Man Transformer crossover, but
Right.
we're all just drooling at the thought. There's those
Man,
Kit
can you
Bash
can you
ones on the internet that just look so amazing.
Look, all I'm saying is Leo Convoy's Battle Cat. It works.
It how did, oh, I wish. I wish. Well, I don't have to ask if you are a inbox collector or loose. I don't
Now,
think you ever keep a
yeah,
box.
it. There's some I'll keep. Like I kept the Star Saber box because that it's got a neat
Yeah,
cover on it. That like one day I want to
important.
hang it. Mattel did that Castle Grayskull at retail a couple years ago. The art on that
Beautiful.
box is cool. I gave it to my daughter, and the box is sitting in the closet
Yeah,
here. The Castle Grayskull's in her room, but
so great.
that box is neat. I've got a couple here actually that I do keep. I've got from 2007 when I met Peter Cullen.
Yeah,
Had to hit the
that's right.
Pepsi Prime
It's right
autographed.
there. Right
You know, oh, there were. I remember going into the ballroom when those Pepsi Primes went on sale. Pallets stacked like 8 foot high, thousands of those things
there.
sitting there.
Wow.
And
What a
then in
sight.
2009, yeah, 2009 Pasadena, the three celebrities I would want to meet, of which I've met two: Peter Cullen, and then the other one, Weird Al Yankovic,
Oh,
signed my animated Red Gar. Got to
heck
meet
yeah.
him. I got to go. This was when Revenge of the Fallen was about ready to come out. So 2009 at
Yep.
BotCon, they take us to the Pasadena lot or the Paramount Studios lot just outside of Pasadena. We get to go on the lot. They've got Optimus Prime there, Ratchet there, the vehicles. We get to go into one of their screening rooms. We get to see the Devastator scene. We think that that's indicative of the movie and it's going to be amazing. It wasn't. Uh, but and then sitting there at dinner because they fed us. There's Weird Al just walking
Oh,
around, so I had to, of course, jump up and I got to talk to him earlier in the day, but then I had to stop and talk to him again and get my picture taken because
yeah.
how often am I going to have that opportunity?
Yeah.
So,
Wow. That's so cool.
but yeah, but yeah, and I was trying to think. Yeah, nothing else for like keeping the box. I mean, the box, they're toys. They're meant to be played with. I know you have
I
problems that
did.
you're
I'm
trying
working
to
on
work
it.
on,
I am. I'm trying.
and in some I understand. It's like you get a vintage G1 still in box. I'm sorry, you don't open that. But the box is part of the toy at
I don't
that
know if I
point.
could
That's part
buy
of the
it
experience.
because it's like then you don't even get to experience that mold you never got to touch when it's
Right,
old stuff.
right.
Yeah.
But new stuff, it's just they make so much of it that by the
I
time it's
know.
worth anything, it's going to be so far down the road.
Mhm.
It's not like the toys that we're trying to get now, the G1 stuff. They make way more now than they did then. So at a certain point, it just takes up space. It's got to go.
Yeah, as soon as Mike wants to move out of that house, then I'm in trouble because I'm using his attic to store my boxes of boxes. Yeah, I know.
No,
I'm working on
no.
it.
And you're doing good. I'm proud of you, Jason. I'm so
Wow.
proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
You've done a
Positive
brave
reinforcement.
thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so brave.
Yep.
Well,
Get in my dad voice.
well, before we go, you shown off a few things. Do you have any other cool, rare, expensive, graily,
Rare.
I don't know, toys you want to show off?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I've learned from talking to you over the last couple of years that things that I don't think are a big deal, like that Titan Metroplex back there,
Ugh,
evidently that's
of course you bring it up.
ridiculously expensive these days.
Yeah,
But
it was just
let's
another
see,
toy at the time. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't really think I have any grails now because we talk about the change of collecting. My collecting's really gone towards building my toys. So, I've got
Yeah.
Proton back there that's 3D printed because, it's not just, it goes back to realizing that I was just after the chase. That's was the big thing that I was into. Well, the chase is a whole experience. The chase is the final product of which I have months, to go through each step in the process. The shell there is done. That wand is just a stand-in. I still have one neutrino wand I have to make. I still have to solder all the electronics, which I got to learn how to solder and do Arduino. So that's another project. But that's kind of really where the collecting is shifted for me. I realized the other day that I don't have any pre-orders right now for the
Weird.
next
What
week.
a
Like
feeling
I
that
don't
must
have
be.
any. Yeah, I don't have any pre-orders because like
Just
that itch we talked about is getting scratched in other ways.
just
So
going with the flow. What's fine in the store, maybe, maybe not. Who knows?
yeah, but and again, I'm always it's probably always going to collect these guys in one shape or another. I guess that's a pun. Uh, but uh,
Turns out.
uh, but it's gonna. I've got to really focus on specifically what do I like about the individual toy. There's been a lot of Transformers, especially as they got into the Diaclone repaints and whatnot they've done. I've passed on a lot of them just because Diaclone doesn't really do anything for me. So even though it's like that's a cool color scheme, but outside of that, I don't really have an attachment to it. So
Sure, sure. Well, before we actually go, do you have any advice for the toy collector out there?
uh, I would say not to get all real or what have you, but just you'll go through seasons of collecting in your life and try to be in the moment and understand what it is you like about that collecting. Because the rock bottom of the toy collector, you're surrounded by pieces of plastic you don't care about, and you've spent thousands of dollars and wasted a ton of time and energy getting them. I found, at least for myself, that by narrowing down what I liked and what I focused on, I get a lot more out of the hobby than I did previously. So, and again, it helps that I'm an older collector. I remember the prequel trilogy and how those figures I had to get and sat there for years, and I've seen Transformer lines come and go. So I can understand how it'd be harder for maybe a younger collector that hasn't been through the cycles yet. But yeah, I think even younger collector can kind of work on focusing on understanding what they like and kind of knowing themselves and how they interact with the hobby. So
I like it.
healthy collecting, folks. Healthy collecting.
I like it. All right. Well, thanks again, Turnip, for being
Absolutely.
on
Thanks
the
for having
show
me.
here. I don't know if you want to share social stuff, if you want people to follow you or any of that business.
I have 18 friends on Facebook because I
Okay.
have to. They're the ones I can't get
I
rid of. I
forgot
don't
to
have social
ask you
media.
beforehand. All
So
right. Well, yeah.
I have no projects I need to plug.
Well,
So
yeah.
I'm just on here because I like you, Jason.
Oh,
So
thanks, buddy. All right. Well, thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate it.
yep.
It's good to chat with you.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.